Raul Martinez is in the house this morning. Good morning. Thanks for coming in, man.
Yeah, good morning, everyone here, everyone listening. It's a good morning to come in.
Yeah, definitely. Well, tell us about yourself. Who are you? You got your family? What do you do for fun? Whatever. Yeah.
So I'm Raul Martinez. My family's been in Yakima since the late '80s. Both my parents' families really immigrated from Mexico, and they really came here just same thing, searching for opportunities and doing all that, working in agriculture. I have 3 sisters. I just enjoy learning, listening, having a good time. But my dad's really just sculpted whatever he has. In '95 on 16th Street down Knob Hill going towards the freeway, he bought a house. And through that, our family's been able to buy 5 more and construct it and remodel it, and from top to bottom on that same street, and we've helped so many countless other people. So that's definitely been a really great experience, but I've also gone out and studied. I've also gone out studying political science and economics. I'm still in the middle of it, but I've learned a lot, and that's just my personality. If I want to know something about it, there's resources out there to go ahead and learn about it.
Sounds like we better be, first order of business is to change the street to Martinez Street, I think is what we
possibly.
It sounds like what we need to do. Hey, now, this was really a surprise. I should recognize the voice, but we spoke on the phone yesterday, because what part of your job is working with the Auditor's Office?
Yeah, I work for the Yakima County Auditor's Office, more specifically the Election Division. And in there, it's all the voter registration, the ballot processing. Well, not this year, and that actually goes into this year. I'm not going to be doing any of the ballot processing just to maintain that integrity of the election system, because I've looked at it. I've seen all the RCWs. I've been part of really multiple conversations of how it works and how there's so many ways to protect the security of it. But just that perception-wise, I'm not going to be dealing with that ballot processing. But that leads me to be able to use my skills that I value of being bilingual to go help other departments, to just go lend a hand. And I really just appreciate all that. Just really the support that the auditor and my elections manager, Kathy Fisher, because I spoke to them first. I'm like, hey, because I know you go into the Hatch Act Federal, you can't be, there's certain things you can and can't do. And I wanted to see, I was looking through the RCWs a few months ago to see if anything would impose me from running for office while working the elections department.
Try being on the radio, Raul. There's some real regulations there.
Yeah,
okay. But very classy of you to do that and to decide that while you wouldn't have to step aside, perception matters and that you're willing to do that. I think that speaks to character, and that's a good thing.
Why did you decide to run for city council?
Yeah, I decided to run because I've really researched District 2 for a while, the city council, since 2015, that court ruling, and up to present day. And I just really think that the District 2 deserves the representation, which is extremely important, but almost as important is that decisive leader. Because you need to be able to know about everything that the council is going to take. It's not just about sidewalks, not about this. It's about the economic growth, about the gang violence, about bringing more businesses in. Because once we do that, it's all tied together. It's a holistic approach. Because if we get more irrigation, more sewer services in our streets, and more people are going to want to build. We have a family friend that's actually almost done building a home down there on that district as well, and he bought a nice corner lot, and he has a lot of space, and his plan was to build at least three duplexes, but unfortunately he only built one because on one of the streets there's no sewer services. So that's something that we need to look at, because we need to promote these local property owners to build more, because it'll beautify our streets. It'll bring more affordable housing into our community.
And we certainly need that. So if we've got something that the city can be involved in that's sort of an impediment to creating opportunities, that needs to be addressed. And it sounds like you're well aware of that kind of stuff. That's what the district does need. You work in elections. You know the numbers. I mean, 573 votes get you a seat on District 2, or did it the last time out. It's tough to say you are truly representing a district of some, 13,000 and some people, when that's all that will turn out. So have you been urging people to register, vote during your time here? I mean, how do we see more folks being willing to trust in the government entity and thus get out and vote to help feed the machine and make it work?
Most definitely, and I really think it's about having personal conversations with people, finding that thing that connects them, and I can connect with really all the community. It's going from a couple years ago, I was coaching football at Davis. I went to Davis, I played football, And unfortunately not anymore just because time constraints. But it was really great to be able to come back, really connect with the coaches, connect with the students, connect with the community. So just that, I've been able to build relationships, and it's about having these personal conversations because we do need more voters, but as much as someone has the right to vote, they also have the right to not vote.
True.
And that's the way they're going to express it. So I want to get more people to vote, but like you say, I'm representing District 2, but I'm making decisions for the whole city. So I want to bring a council person to District 2 that, one, represents, that can connect with the community, that grew up there, that sees multiple perspectives, but also has a knowledge of understanding the budget, understanding we need to take care of our reserves. We need to really have the best interests of the residents in mind when we're making these decisions.
That's a great distinction to have. Well said.
What are you hearing from people in your district if you're knocking on doors? What are their concerns?
Yeah, so a little bit going back to just that economic growth and development, it's they want to have the foundation set up because otherwise you have to pay tens of thousands of dollars to get some sewage lines installed, and that's an even bigger imposition. And then you go into the safety of our streets, you know, especially the last couple of months. We've seen it all over the city. But unfortunately, District 2 has seen it almost every day. Almost every day of their life.
The violence?
Just the violence. Just the violence. It's just part of you. And just psychologically, you know, you just grow up a different way. I grew up, you know, I would just run to Davis to go practice. And then I was always aware, you know, don't wear this color, don't wear that color. Because I don't want any problems. I never got involved, but I saw it in peers and friends. It's a sad thing when you really read in the newspaper that names sound familiar and either they killed someone, they're in jail, or they got killed, or even just seeing a 14-year-old kid because they really don't know much about life. So it's really hearing about that, which is super important. But it's one of those things where there's not just one solution. If there was one solution, we would have done it. It's about creating the foundational success. Really, this economic growth is super important because if we bring more businesses in and we really beautify our streets, we really build the sense of community, we're going to get to that. And I see it more working with the law enforcement and the community to build these relationships. Like you guys were talking about earlier, that murder map, I was looking at it a couple weeks ago when it came out. In order to get a lot of these murders solved, there needs to be that trust between the residents, which are witnesses, and law enforcement. But unfortunately, there are certain barriers, there are certain walls, preconceptions put up, and we really need to get more bilingual police officers that grew up in areas like Yakima, in the east side.
Let me ask you this, because I support everything you're saying, Raul. It sounds great. The idea, though, that you basically, to lead your district and to make the progress necessary and to create the trust, you run the risk of being seen as sort of like are you a traitor to the community rather than a spokesman? Like, hey, you're telling me to speak up and help the police? The gangs are saying if I speak up, I'm in trouble. So what do? I get your leadership, and we do need to foster this trust, but I've also got this practical reality of this guy that's driving by my house slow every day. How are you going to handle something like that?
Yeah, definitely, and I have heard of that, and it's frightening. It's frightening because you want to get that murder solved, but then you think it's none of my business. I'm trying to protect my family. So I think, like you say, you got to be transparent about situations. And that's the most important thing. You got to, from saying, I'm not going to make empty promises, I'm not saying this and that, it's about really building a connection with that person, building that trust, and tell them, hey, I'm going to try to help you in every way I possibly can. And the safety is ultimately first. But that is something that is a huge issue in District 2. I mean, and that leads to things not being solved, and then there's retaliation between gangs, and that leads to more violence. And it's just a cycle that's been going and going, and we just really need to work on with the law enforcement, create those community programs to really get that going.
I think your point about not making promises that you can't keep is huge. You got to demonstrate that you can deliver what you say, or you got to at least demonstrate the progress that you try to make. Transparency, huge. Put it in the open and tell it like it is. And I think all districts would benefit from more of that, because I think there is a general distrust. One of the common criticisms that we're hearing of this council and some of the councils in the past is sort of the you're elected to be allegedly, it's maybe unrealistic to put on you, but the brightest, the best, the smartest, the most concerned, and then we get on council and we act like it's junior high sometimes, in terms of how it's reflected to the public. It's like, can't these people disagree on something, or can't they be civil about it and all of that? How does it feel to possibly inherit the mantle of all of that? How do you...
And I understand that. I mean, it's almost every council has an issue between themselves, and that's really bringing a lot of different opinions into those chambers can cause a lot. But it's really just, I'm a level-headed guy. I'm pretty calm. And I also, like you say, I decide to run because I know I can be, not that I'm perfect, not that I know everything, but I just have the characteristic. I always want to know more. I always want to learn more about so many different things. So bring that to the table, but also be totally aware. I want to bring ideas, but I'm also aware that if I bring it, someone can say, hey, this isn't going to work, this isn't going to function, and I'm going to say, okay. Or I'm going to bring an idea that's good, and they're going to even make it better. And I see that just being respectful, being professional, and that's how I really, really hold myself.
Raul, how do you describe yourself politically? I mean, I know the office is nonpartisan, but everyone shows their colors. So, how would you describe yourself politically?
Yeah, like you say, it's nonpartisan, and that's exactly how I've been taking it. I want the best for the community, and I really don't identify with a single party. I'm just down the middle, pretty moderate, because I understand a lot of these issues, and you got to think about it from different perspectives. I'll have a conversation with anyone as long as it's factually based. When it gets into opinions and really just disrespectful towards one another, then that's different. But otherwise, I enjoy hearing different perspectives. That makes me better as a person and, potentially as an elected official.
What's would you say is the number one thing you've been hearing from the folks in the street? What's the greatest concern, or maybe even what you could point back to the council as their most reasonable progress, some of each? So what are the people saying, and then what do you say?
A lot of these public work stuff, like these sidewalks, I actually spoke with a gentleman. He has a nice house right in front of Adams Elementary, but there's a tree that just the roots are growing and really upending these sidewalks, and those are sidewalks kids walk by, and these are sidewalks, and the water pulls up, so there's a lot. And someone's taking care of their house, and he's gone and filled in potholes. He's done this because a lot of people in my community, if they see something, they're not going to wait for someone to come fix it. They're going to do it. And then I kind of learned a little bit more, learned about teaching a lot of people about Yak Back, about getting that information out there to get these potholes filled, to get this data, because then it allows me to get this raw data from the residents and turn it into actual policy. And you really got to mold that, because it is important. You're representing people. You got to mold that into it. But I also see a lot of people rightfully complaining that there are not enough staff in these government offices that helps them in their language. Gotcha. Like my father, like I said, he owns what he owns, and our family owns what we own. And my dad, my uncles, a lot of them limited English, and they pay property taxes like crazy. My dad sent me, and I'm like, wow, we're paying this much. So it's something where I want to make sure our taxes are spent right, fiscally responsible. But also, we need to allow people equal access to service. When someone goes into an office and they have no one that speaks Spanish, I think that's an issue. Go on with our demographic. So that's something that I've really been researching that wouldn't be an economic effect. We wouldn't have to invest more money. It's just about changing our systems.
As we make our hires, we make sure that that's part of the
exactly. And that's something that I could use as my platform, and that's actual policy, tangible policy that can be done within the year. With bringing my ideas, but like I said, I want to hear everyone else's perspectives. Oh, no, we should do this, we should do that. So that's really something that I've been hearing, and something that I jot down stuff and I go home, research it, and then I keep going on.
Raul, a lot of voters out there ready to vote. Tell them why they should be voting for you and no one else.
Yeah, I am confident that I am the best candidate in District 2, and I say that humbly. My dad taught me what he did. I know how to do all this construction stuff, how to install a roof, how to install windows, and I love it, but I also enjoy really learning about it all, and I think I can really fully represent the district. But in that, the district deserves more. The district represents a council member that is aware of it all, that is going to do a good job for the district, but just for the city. And I am confident that I am that person. I'm in the middle. I hear everything out. I understand that we need to spend our tax dollars wisely, but we also need to invest in our youth. They're the future. They're what we need. We need to promote these local businesses, get more businesses in, drive those tourism dollars to be able to use for other programs in our city. As much as we take out, we need to bring in. And we need to understand that as well. We really need to think about it in a holistic approach, and that's definitely me.